Something fun and creative you can add to your designs comes in the form of dashed lines and arrows. It's essentially working with the strokes or borders of objects. To complete this logo design, you'll learn about working with the stroke of an object, then you'll explore adding and editing dashes to lines, and finally add arrowheads to these paths. So you can follow along, open this document from the downloadable practice files for this tutorial, and then so that you can see all of the content in the file, choose View, Fit All in Window. With the selection tool selected in the Tools panel, click to select this blue circle. Notice that the weight or size of the stroke in the Properties panel to the right of the document is 15. To change the stroke weight, you can click the arrows to the left of 15, choose a value from the menu, or even type something in. To make the stroke smaller, change the weight to 13 by clicking the down arrow a few times. Aside from changing the stroke weight, you can also change other appearance properties for strokes. In the Properties panel, click the word Stroke to show the stroke panel. There are a lot of options for strokes in here, like aligning stroke to a path, adding a dash to it, adding arrowheads, and a whole lot more. Click Align Stroke to Outside to see that you can align the stroke in different ways on the edge of a path. This can be really useful. Say you need a larger stroke on something, but maybe want to add text inside the shape. Aligning the stroke to the outside will place the stroke outside of the shape, giving you more room inside the shape for text. Click Align to Center so you can center the stroke on the edge of the circle again. To apply a dash to selected artwork, select Dashed Line in this panel. You can create different types of dashes, and dashes you create form a pattern that repeats along a path. For instance, change the dash to 7, then click in the gap field to the right of that. Illustrator applies a dash that's 7 points in length, then adds a gap of 7 points, then repeats that along the length of the path. Click in the gap field and type 9. Then click in the next field to see the change in the shape out there. A 7-point dash is followed by a 9-point gap and repeated on your shape now. Change the stroke weight to 1, and so the shape has no fill, click Fill Color here in the Properties panel. Make sure the Swatches option is selected, and choose None to remove the color. Another creative option you can add to your artwork are arrowheads. With the selection tool selected, click one of these lines in the middle, then shift-click the other to select both. You'll add arrowheads to both of these lines at the same time. To add arrowheads, click the word Stroke in the Properties panel on the right so you can see the stroke panel again. Now you can add an arrowhead to the start of a path or the end of a path or both. Click the arrowhead menu on the left and select an arrowhead. You can see there are a lot to choose from. Choose Arrow 14. By default, the arrowhead is scaled at 100% of the stroke weight. Change the stroke weight to 3 and you'll see the arrowhead gets bigger as well, relative to the stroke weight. If you want the arrowhead to be smaller or bigger than it is, you can change the scale below each here. Click the arrowhead menu on the right and choose Arrow 18. If you realize that the arrowheads are on the wrong end of the path, you can click this button to swap them. Make sure they look like this before you continue. Click away from the stroke menu and also click in a blank area of the document to deselect the artwork. Now that you know more about changing the appearance of strokes, you can begin to experiment with different types of strokes in your artwork. For instance, you could create a stitching effect with a dashed line, or even add arrowheads to a diagram or an infographic. To preserve the original practice file, save a copy by choosing File, Save As, and make sure you name it something different.